In a land far beyond the mountains, there was a magical forest called Fanny Land. This forest wasn't like any ordinary forest. Its trees glowed softly at night, the rivers shimmered with sparkling light, and the air always smelled sweet, like the first bloom of spring. But the most magical part of Fanny Land was the happy flowers. The happy flowers were no ordinary flowers. They grew in a secret glade deep within the forest, and each flower had the power to bring joy and happiness to anyone who came near. Their petals shimmered in every color of the rainbow, and when the wind blew, the flowers would hum soft melodies, like the laughter of children. Every day, the flowers would bloom with radiant colors, and every night, they would glow softly, lighting up the forest like tiny lanterns. But there was something very special about these flowers that made them unlike any other in the world. They could sense how someone was feeling. If a traveler entered the forest feeling sad or lonely, the flowers would bend their stems toward them, their colors brightening, as if to say, "We are here to help you find your smile." The keeper of the happy flowers was a kind fairy named Alara. Elara had wings that sparkled like stardust, and her laugh sounded like the tinkling of tiny bells. She lived in a little treehouse near the glade, tending to the flowers and ensuring that they stayed healthy. Elara believed that the happy flowers had the power to heal hearts and spread happiness, and she took great care in making sure the flowers bloomed each day. One day, a young boy named Finn wandered into Fanny Land. He had been traveling for days, looking for a place where he could find peace and happiness. You see, Finn had recently lost his beloved dog, Pippin, and his heart felt heavy with sadness. His footsteps were slow, and his eyes were filled with sorrow. He had heard stories of a magical forest where people could find joy, but he wasn't sure if it was true. As Finn entered the forest, he didn't know that the happy flowers were watching him. When the flowers sensed his sadness, their colors dimmed and then slowly began to glow brighter, as if encouraging him to come closer. The moment Finn stepped into the glade, the flowers burst into full bloom, their petals shimmering in the sunlight. The air around him seemed to hum with energy, and for the first time in days, Finn felt a warmth spread through his heart. It was as if the flowers were speaking to him, without words. "Don't be sad. You are not alone." Finn knelt down and reached out to touch the nearest flower, and as his fingers brushed its soft petals, something magical happened. The flower glowed brighter, and the melody it hummed became a soothing lullaby. Finn smiled for the first time in a long while. He closed his eyes and let the sound of the flowers wash over him, feeling lighter and happier with each note. Suddenly, he heard a soft voice. "Would you like to meet the flowers?" It was Elara, floating down from her treehouse on delicate wings that sparkled like the stars. Her eyes were kind, and her smile was warm. Finn nodded, feeling a little shy, but also curious. "Are they magical?" he asked. Alara laughed softly. "Oh yes, the happy flowers are very magical. They can sense how you feel and help guide you back to happiness. They've helped many people, and now they want to help you." As Alara spoke, she gently waved her hand, and the flowers around them began to swirl and dance in the air. Each flower seemed to shine a little brighter, and their melodies grew louder, turning into a symphony of joy. The air around them seemed to sparkle with golden dust, and Finn felt as if he were in a dream. "Would you like to learn how the happy flowers work?" Alara asked. "They have a gift for you, Finn." Finn nodded eagerly, feeling a warmth in his chest that he hadn't felt in weeks. Alara waved her hands once more, and the flowers gently gathered in a circle around him. The petals glowed brighter and brighter until they created a beautiful halo of light around Finn. With a gentle breeze, the flowers released tiny, sparkling seeds into the air, and they danced around Finn's head. Each seed carried a small burst of happiness, planting seeds of joy deep in his heart. Finn felt a rush of warmth, and for the first time in days, his sadness melted away. "These flowers," Alara explained softly, "can bring happiness, but the true magic lies within you. You have the power to find your own joy, just as you found it here. The happy flowers only help remind you of the happiness that already exists within your heart. Finn smiled, feeling lighter than he had in weeks. He stood up and turned to Alara. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "I feel so much better. I think I found my smile again." Elara nodded, her eyes sparkling. "Remember, Finn, no matter where you go, happiness is always within you. And the happy flowers will always be here in Luminara, waiting to help anyone who needs them." As Finn left the glade, he carried with him the warmth and joy of the happy flowers. He knew that, even in his darkest moments, he could always find his way back to this magical place. And from that day on, whenever Finn felt a little down, he would think of the glowing flowers and the kind fairy, Elara, and he would remember that happiness was always just a step away. And so, the happy flowers continued to bloom, bringing joy to all who found their way to Luminara, spreading magic and happiness throughout the world.